Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today we'll be learning how to make this bubu dress with double pleated shoulder. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. Let's get into
So
it.
guys, to make this kind of bubu with double pleated shoulder, can use 3.5 inches, 3.5 yards to make it. Okay, so the first thing you are going to do is to fold your fabric. This particular bubu does not have shoulder joining, so you are going to be folding both your back and your front together. As you can see that I folded this, and this is another one. Okay, so having said that, another thing you are going to do is the width you are going to use to fold it. You can use 25 inches to fold it. That is the least, but don't do more than 30 inches. Okay, you can do 25, you can do 30. 25 is okay. So for me, can you see I'm making use of 25. So this 25 is telling us that the front piece is 50 inches wide, and the back piece is 50 inches wide. I hope we understand that. So the next thing we are going to do now is to create our neckline. It does not have shoulder joining. So for the neck width, we are going to be using 3 inches. You can use 3 inches, you can use 3.5, depending on the person you are working with, but I will just advise that you use 3 inches. So the 3 inches will be for the neck width, and for the neck depth of the back is going to be 1 inch. The neck depth is going to be 1 inch, so I'll just mark it like this, 3 by 1. Can you see what I've done? So for the neck depth of the front, you can use between 7 to 8 inches if you don't want to show cleavage. But if you want to show cleavage, you are going to use more than that. So for me, I'll be making use of 8 inches. Okay, so at this 8 inch point, I will mark 1 inch inward because it's going to be having collar. We are still going to return 2 inches back to this front. Okay, so I will just mark 1 inch. Okay, so this 1 inch, I will mark it all the way down because we are cutting it out. So the next thing is to connect this 1 inch point to my neck width, just like this. Can you see what I have done here? Then I'll connect it back to the remaining 1 inch and I'll cut it out. So I'll go ahead and cut out my neckline and then we continue. I'm done cutting. Can you see our neckline now? You see that we have this place is bent, it's curved somehow. This is what my neck depth. This is going to help you by the time you want to overlap it. I'm still going to explain that later. As you can see, I'm gonna have to cut it all the way down. Please, when cutting, don't make mistake and cut both the front and the back together. So the next thing we are going to do now is to create our pleat. And when you want to create your pleat, you can just create a straight line at the shoulder here, so I'm gonna have to rule my chalk at the shoulder so that I'll know that this is the shoulder point. Okay, so the next thing is to mark 7.5 from this center. Now we are going to be marking it from the back since I already cut out the front neckline. So I'll mark 7.5. Can you see I have 7.5 here? I'll mark it. So now the pleat length shouldn't be less than 5.5. That is because you are still going to sew it. Okay, so this sewing part shouldn't be less than 5.5. You can sew it all the way to, let's say, 4 inches above your hip line because it is a free dress. Okay, but it shouldn't be less than 5.5. So for me, I'll be making use of 8 inches. So I'll just mark that 7 inches all the way to my 8 inches. So this is it. The next thing is to mark our pleat. Because I am using 25 for this, I'll be making use of 2.5 2 inches for my pleat. Okay, and you know that whenever you are pleating, if you want the pleat to be 1 inch, you have to double it. It has to be 2 inches. So I'll mark another 2 inches here like this. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'll mark another 2 inches. So I'll rule this all the way down. So I'll mark these 2 inches, then I'll mark another. So this is the first pleat like this. But if your fabric is more than 25, if you fold it like maybe 30 or 27, you can use 2.5 you can use 3 inches for your pleat, but this 2 inches is still okay. So this is our first pleat. You know that whenever you are pleating, it has to fall on somewhere. Now let me pleat. This is the middle. I'll just pick it like this. This is the middle. So by the time you want to sew, we are going to be sewing it on this chalk that you are seeing here. So and it's going to fall on this place too. So this is it. By the time you sew and you fold it here, it starts to fall on a place. So that place you are going to mark it. That place is the space in between each pleat, and that place is going to be 2 inches also, because our pleat is 2 inches. It's going to be 2 inches. If your pleat is 3 inches, that this space here is going to be 3 inches. So I'll just mark this space like this. Then I'll put X so that we know that we are not pleating this place. The next thing is to create the second pleat as we did for this first one. So I'll just go ahead and mark 4 inches. Then I'll find the center of 4 inches, which is 2, and my second pleat is ready. This is a very simple design. My second pleat is ready. So by the time I want to fold the second pleat, I'll take this middle part like this. Then we are going to be sewing on this place. Let me just fold it so that you can see. You can see the way it is. So let me fold this one also. You can see that we have two pleats now. We have two pleats now. So that is what I will do. Then I will mark the length that I'm using. The length has to be equal. I'm using 8 inches. I'll mark the length I am using. Okay. But for this middle, nothing, you don't need anything. So these markings I did here, I'm going to be doing it on the back and the second part of the front, because it's going to be on both the front and the back, on both shoulder. Okay, it's going to be on both shoulder. So after doing that, the next thing is now to create your armhole. You are not going to determine how wide you want it to be. You can decide to put elastic on the round sleeve. You can decide not to put elastic. So for me, I am not putting elastic on the round sleeve. So I will just mark 9 inches. By the time I'm still going to take it in, so it's going to stop at 8. I'll mark 9 inches. I can come in by, let's say, 3 inches. Then I'll curve it, then I'll connect it back to my 25 inches. There is no measurement for this, just to have a curve around that place. So I'll just, by the time I want to join, I'll be joining like this. Okay, so I'll curve it to this place. So this is all about the drafting of this particular design. What I will do now is I will take it to the ironing table. I will iron out my pleat first before I start sewing it, so that it will be accurate. I will transfer these lines back to the back also. Then I will iron out my pleat. Okay, but before I go, this is if you want the side to be straight all the way around, you are going to leave it this way. But if you want it to have a bit of curve, like a cow side, you are going to shape it. So for me, this one is going to have a cow side. So I'll look for my angle. The angle is always, like 4 inches above your knee. So for this person, the angle is 32. Okay, the angle is 32. So from that 32 inches, you can mark your hip measurement all the way down, or you can add 2 inches to your hip measurement, or whatever you want to do. But for me, I'll be marking 16 inches from the side here. Can you see, from the center back? I'll mark 16 inches. You can also use 16 inches. It depends on how you want it. Some people want it so fitted that it will look as if it is a straight dress at the down part, and some people just want it to have that shape at the down part. So I'll mark my 16 inches all the way down. So after marking the 16 inches, I'll come back to this point. Then I'll just connect to have the cow shape. I'll connect it. Your connection should not be sharp. It should not be too curvy, and it should not be sharp. Okay, so I'll just connect. Can you see what I'm doing? I'll connect it like this, then I'll cut out. So these lines now are what I'm going to cut out. So I'll cut it out I will take it to the ironing table and iron my lines out. Then I'll show you the next thing to do. Can see I have opened my pattern. This is the front part and this is the back part. This is our shoulder. Now I'll just go ahead and mark. I've already transferred the lines a bit, so I just want to cross check to know. So I'll go ahead and mark my lines the way I did in the first place, and we are good to go. Just the way I'm doing to transfer it to the back. I'm done transferring it to the back. You know that this is the wrong side and you want to make your pleat on the right side. So I did this because this is for explanation. And if you don't, if you are, especially if you are working with a fabric that can stain easily, it's better to do it on the wrong side. So what you are just going to do now is from this place on the wrong side, you see that this is our first pleat, right? This is supposed to be our first pleat. So I'll just pick it from outside following this line. I'll pick it like this. I will use my pin to hold it down. I'll follow that line. Oh. You can see that I'm looking at the line. You are going to follow the line, and you can also do it on the outside also. So if you have a erasable fabric pen, you can use it to create all those lines on the outside, because you already know that it's going to clear off afterwards. So after folding it here on the outside, you already know that this is your first line. You just mark your 2 inches. By the time you want to sew it, you mark your 2 inches, then you sew. You just iron it to this side. So I've already picked that one. I'll pick the second one now. You know that this line here is a no-go area. So this is the one I'm picking. So I'll pick the second one just like this. I'll pick it just like this. I'll do it for both the front and the back. Then I'll sew it with 2 inches. You're going to sew with 2 inches, or you iron it first before sewing. Anyone that you want is okay. You can decide to iron it first before sewing. You can decide to sew it with 2 inches. So by the time you are sewing, just make sure that you are measuring it and you are fine. So this is what we have. Let me open it up. This is what we have. You know, this is our neckline. By the time I sew it with my 2 inches, it's going to fold like this, and this one too is going to fold like this. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and pin everything down. I'll sew it till I get to my 8 inches. Then I will show us what we have. So the 8 inches is going to be for the back alone. The front too will be 8 inches. So the length of my pleat is going to be 16 inches in total. This is what I have now. I'm gonna to iron it. Can you see how it's looking? So I'm gonna to fold my sleeve. I just folded it tiny folding half an inch. But if you are adding rubber to your own, your folding is going to be wider than this. Okay. So the next thing is to cut out our is to cut out our collar. So for the collar, the width of the collar is going to be 2 inches. So half an inch for joining allowance, that is 2.5. So if you cutting 2.5 on fold, that means you are going to be cutting 5 inches. And the length of your collar is going to be the measurement from one side of your what's it called, front piece. You measure it from one side all the way back to the second side, including the neckline of the back. That is going to be the measurement of your collar. So after cutting out your collar, you can decide to add what estate to it. You can decide to interface it, and you can decide not to interface it. So after doing that, you go ahead and join it to the bodies, and that is that about the collar. So as you all know, it is a free dress. At the same time, it has to be fitted at the waist. So we are going to be adding inner belt to it. So I'll go ahead and do this collar, then I'll show you how to do the inner belt. This is what I have after adding my collar to it. I'm yet to iron. So by the time you iron it, you must have ironed it before you do what I want to show you now. So you place it like this in order to know the shoulder. You know, we are yet to join the side. So what I did is you are going to use your pin to hold it down by the edges together, the side. You are going to hold it together so that you know the shoulder. So this is our shoulder now. I've arranged this very well. The next thing is to determine your neck depth. Okay. So for me, the neck depth is 8 inches. This is where it stops. So what I will just do is at this 8 inches, I'm just going to overlap it a bit. I'm going to overlap it a bit so that it will not be too close, okay? Because we are still going to overlap everything. I will overlap it a bit so that it will not be too close. Then I will overlap the remaining one as you can see me do here. So I will overlap the remaining one to the edge. So it's going to be on the edge, just like I have done now. So you overlap it to the edge. You can overlap it either to the right side or the wrong side. To the right or the left side, depending on what you want. You overlap it, then when you are almost at the M line, you are going to stop overlapping because you need to have a slit there. So at that point, now let's assume this is the point you want to stop overlapping. You are going to stitch it like this in order to hold it down very well. And after doing that, you go ahead and add your waist dart. After doing that, you go ahead and join it by the side seam, okay? You join it by the side seam, then you hem it down. Now I want to go back to the explanation for the belt. For the belt, when you must have joined it by the side seam, you turn it to the wrong side. Then this is my belt. You create a belt. The width of the belt should not be less than one and a half inch, okay? It shouldn't be less than 1.5 inch. So the length of the belt is going to be, you can use the length of your waistline for each belt, or you just reduce your waistline maybe by 6 or 5 inches, okay? That is, if your waist is 40, you can use 40 for your belt, or you just reduce it a bit. So you tap each of the belts at your half length. So from the shoulder here, you measure your half length, then you tack your belt, okay? So by the time you are tacking it, make sure you tack it around this second fold that we have, this second pleat. You can see where I tacked mine. I've already tacked my belt. Make sure that your stitch is very neat so that it will be like almost invisible for people to know that there is a belt there. And if your own pleat gets to your waistline, okay, so you are going to be tacking your belt on the stitch that you must have had before. Now assuming this one gets to here now, so I'll just tack my belt on that stitch that I've made before. And that is all, guys. So I'll go and do all of this now. I will iron, then I'll place it on my mannequin for us to see. And I want to say this, you can also do this on your mannequin, this neck part. If you have a mannequin, you can place it on your mannequin to do, okay? So that is all about the class.